season-long NBA race for a championship. So much news, I can't fit it into 1 minute update. That's why you got 3 hours of the Rip City Drive starting now.
The Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad.
This isn't the Oprah Winfrey Show.
Presented by Lazy Boy. What is your strategy for comfort?
Well, I would rather play in hot, humid conditions any day than anything cold. I think pretty much anyone, my age to your age will definitely like it a little hotter.
Just keep shooting. We all believe in those shots. That's how we came to the finals, and that's how we played the whole season.
Failure is the best teacher at times, and it can inspire you to do great things.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad starts now.
Well, hello there, Portland. Welcome into the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here, filling in for the boss man Chad, doing once again. You can follow me on X at Chris J. Burkhardt. Joined as always by the Godfather, Dwight Jaynes. Dwight, how are you this Tuesday afternoon?
I'm good. Let's get it on, Chris. Got a lot to do today.
Let's do it. Let's have some fun. Let's talk some sports as always throughout the day. If you want to join the conversation, you can jump over onto YouTube. Follow us there. Join the comments section there. Just go to YouTube, type in Rip City Radio. It'll pop right up. You can tweet at myself or Dwight at Dwight Jaynes on Twitter as well. Or you can pick up your phone, dial 503-248-0620. And that's the best way to get on the phone lines, talk to us as well. Dwight, what is going on in the sports world today? I mean, dude, it's kind of like yesterday. We kind of have our pick the litter, all sorts of stuff, right?
Yeah, we do. And I think, first of all, it's kind of interesting that two of the best players in the finals are banged up pretty good. I mean, you mentioned Porzingis already. That's a serious injury that could keep him out of the remaining games. I think he'll play a little, but we'll see. And then on the other side, I mean, they revealed today that Doncic took a shot. He's got a bad thoracic contusion. He took I think a pain-killing shot in the sternum to alleviate the pain before game 2, and he's going to take another one before game 3, and he's also dealing with foot and knee pain. So he's walking wounded. Kind of might change the way this whole thing works out, depending on which one misses the most time and which one suffers the most from that injury.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how this one plays out. I mean, a hurt Porzingis definitely impacts the Celtics, right? But with the way Brown, Tatum, Drew Holiday have been playing, they can weather that storm a little bit. Now, a banged up Luka, I mean, and Dallas that's a ship with a hole in the bottom taking on water.
Yeah, it really is, and you got to hand it to the Celtics. They got all this far, all the way to the finals without Porzingis, and so. They have played without him, and they played well without him. So we'll see what happens. But Porzingis, let's not diminish it. He's played very well and been a big key in the first 2 games.
Yes, absolutely he has. And Dwight and I will talk plenty more NBA Finals throughout the show. But speaking of playing without someone, the United States women's national team doesn't have Caitlin Clark. But you know what? That doesn't matter because that is small potatoes compared to one competition that will be without its most famous player at the helm. And that's right. That was breaking news this afternoon, and no sports show can go without talking about it. But the Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest on Coney Island, you all know, you all watch it every 4th of July. That will go, as of right now, that will go on without 16-time champion Joey Chestnut, as he has chosen to, quote, represent another hot dog brand and therefore will not be allowed to participate in the Nathan's contest. So you talk about ratings and recognition and people who fans like. I mean, is there even a hot dog eating competition if Joey Chestnut's not there to consume them?
I don't think you can have the contest without Joey. He is the contest. And anything, let's break out the old asterisk on this one. Whoever wins has to get an asterisk by this. This is like Roger Maris's home run in 162 games. They didn't want to. They put an asterisk by it for a while because Babe Ruth only had 154 games, so that's the difference. And this is big. And he's not there. I just wonder if Caitlin Clark couldn't take his place. I mean, it would grow the league. There'd be a lot of eyeballs on the contest. It would help women's basketball if she participated. So let's go. And if you got the YouTube channel up, you might take a look because Michael Shacker's playing around with me today. He's got my head superimposed on Joey Chestnut gulping down a hot dog, which, I have been known to eat a hot dog or two. Not ready for a contest like that. I watch that contest. I don't watch it as much anymore. I used to watch it every year. They soak those hot dogs in water to make them easier. They don't even chew them. They just slide them down the old throat.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
yes,
that's just disgusting.
Have you ever done a eating contest of any sort?
I think I got suckered into a pie eating contest one time. That used to be the big deal, a pie eating contest. But you sit down at a table and your hands have to be behind your back.
Mm-hmm.
You have to eat the pie without your hands. In other words, just duck your filthy face into that pie and start eating.
I did one for a football fundraiser in high school, which was actually kind of fun because like a bunch of different local high school football teams showed up at this church. I ate 10 McDonald's hamburgers in 10 minutes.
Oh my!
That's the one and only eating competition I've ever done.
Days.
It was terrible. It was bad. And
it's funny. Mine was for a charity too. It was a school thing for one of the kids, I think. Dad, could you do this? They want you to do this pie eating contest. Okay, I'll do it.
Oh my gosh! First off, Nathan's hot dog eating contest is absolutely something else. Their quote here in this ESPN article is pretty funny because one of the quotes was, "It would be like Michael Jordan saying to Nike, 'I'm gonna represent Adidas too,'" says Major League Eating event organizer George Shea. Yeah, but sometimes you're like, yeah, well, you're Michael. If you're still repping us, we're okay. I just think it's funny.
Well, what's funny, too, is that there's actually a governing body in all these eating contests. Major League Eating is called, MLE.
Major League Eating.
And they govern not only the hot dogs, but any other, like pizza eating, or what else do they have eating contests for? Burgers, I think, shrimp, I think. Just about anything you can think of. And if you want real sanctioning and to make it a real deal, you got to go with MLE, Major League Eating.
Yes, this is true. My wife chimes in and says pizza and box wine. That was not an eating competition per se, as much as this little mini frat group we had at, if you call it that, a little band group in college. You had to eat an entire pizza and drink a boxed wine. That was initiation.
Oh, my God.
And
that was your initiation?
Hey, when you're 21, 22, you could stomach that. At my age now, no.
Oh,
a piece of pizza is about too much. So, no thanks. Now, listen to this for a second, okay? These are just, there are too many of them for me to read them all, but let's just read a few. These are some of the records that Joey Chestnut holds.
Oh, yeah.
Again, 16-time Nathan's hot dog eating champion. He once ate 141 hard-boiled eggs in 8 minutes.
That's like Cool Hand Luke. Oh, poor old Paul Newman couldn't eat 50. Yeah, 50 eggs. I can eat 50 eggs. No, you couldn't quite do it.
53 soft tacos from Taco Bell in 10 minutes.
Oh, God. His old boiler must have been hurting for days.
182 chicken wings in a half hour.
Oh.
How do you do that? Of course, the Nathan's famous hot dog competition record of 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes. That's 5.9 pounds of funnel cake in 10 minutes. Like, how do you stomach
it's like
that?
6 pounds of cake?
6 pounds of funnel cake in 10 minutes.
Oh. That's some disgusting stuff.
Isn't
no
it?
Offense. Joey,
118 jalapeno poppers in 10 minutes.
Ugh.
That had to burn.
Oh, man.
That had to burn on the
There's
way
some
out.
fire in the belly there.
The fire in a couple places. Oh, like this one makes my stomach. 15 1-pound bowls, so 15 pounds of gumbo in 8 minutes.
I mean, I like gumbo. Even a pound of it would be way too
Right?
much.
Like you're sitting there just going, oh, man. And the list continues to go on and on and on.
I've heard him interviewed, and he talked about you have to really, believe it or not, you have to condition for those kinds of things. You have to be, your stomach has to be a certain way. You have to prepare a certain way. And I just preferred not to listen anymore. I didn't want to hear the particulars.
Hey, well, you did. I mean, some of those guys, the way they train their stomachs is pretty interesting. I mean, for the longest time, Kobayashi was a very well-known name till Joey Chestnut dethroned him there at Nathan's.
He
but
took him apart.
but he's a tiny guy. Dude was rocking like an 8-pack most of the time you saw him. Yet here he was, you know. This is not a Joey Chestnut record. I did see him consuming this a couple weeks ago in a competition. He doesn't hold the record, though. But Oleg Zoronsky holds the record of 32-ounce bowls of mayonnaise in 8 minutes. Why?
Mayonnaise?
Straight mayonnaise. 432. Why? Like some of the competitions, Dwight, you sit there and you're like, why? Why?
People driving down the road right now, I hope you realize that, are pulling over to the side of the road. They're not feeling so good right now. I think that's about enough of
I
this.
apologize. I went down the rabbit hole.
Oh, man.
I went
did you
down the
ever?
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you watching the competition, even though it's 4th of July, you're like, okay, hot dogs. Yeah, okay, we're having what for dinner, Dad? Hot dogs and burgers. Okay, I'll take the burger. Like I don't even want a hot dog after watching it on TV.
Yeah, for sure. Ugh.
But if Joey Chestnut's not there, is anyone even going to watch?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Guess what? They're going to watch the Olympics without Caitlin Clark too.
Yeah,
That's the point.
I bet they are.
That's the point. All right. When we come back, we're actually going to talk sports. I promise you. But I mean, hey, when a 16-time champion is banned, as some of the reports have said, that's not true. He just can't compete because he's sponsored with a competitor. It happens, but you got to talk about it. When we come back, though, plenty of sports coming up. We're going to talk about these NBA finals because we hinted at it, but with Porzingis out and the injury bug, things could happen here. Maybe Dallas can get back into contention. Chris Burkhardt here with the Godfather, Dwight Jaynes, on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back in to the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here with Dwight Jaynes, the Godfather. Hopefully you've recovered from the talk of world record eating competition.
Yes, I
and
have.
Joey Chestnut. You could see it on YouTube. Your face was turning a little green.
That's because the light wasn't on
That
my
was
face.
because the
on
light
YouTube.
wasn't on.
Yeah, that was the secret there.
Absolutely. I did promise, though, that we would take it to the sports talk. And, of course, if you want to join in on the conversation, 503-248-0620 is that telephone number. Or go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and join the chat there. But in the NBA, Dwight, which is where we'll start, there's two big series going on, the NBA and hockey. We'll talk about them both. But in the NBA, things are getting a little bit interesting. We hinted at it there a little bit in the opening segment, but Kristaps Porzingis, he is suffering what the team called, quote, a rare injury to his left leg, and he was officially listed as questionable for Game 3, which is tomorrow. And there's been some descriptions of this injury. Some of it's just it's a lot of medical jargon that I can't even. It's the Celtics announced that Porzingis has a torn medial retinaculum, allowing dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon in his left leg. I have no idea what any of that means. Usually I can get through and have an idea. But either way, it doesn't sound good. You were talking, though, you might have a little more insight as to what this injury is.
Yeah, I can tell you really more about the result of it, and it causes an instability there in the ankle and could cause, I mean, if it gets into that tibial tendon too much, I mean, you might have all kinds of major problems with your leg. It's just an instability. And you can deal with that by building up the muscles around it to provide more stability or some sort of brace on it. There's so little data on this for basketball players. I know Jeff Stotts runs a really nice database of NBA injuries, athletic injuries, and you can find it on X. But he said in his database he doesn't have a single one of these. So it's really hard to tell about playing time and what to project on this. But the doctors I've talked to have said he may be able to play, but it would have to be short bursts, which they've kind of been doing that with him, not starting him, just bringing him in when they need him and then getting him out of there as quick as they can. But the fewer times he jumps and lands, the better off he is. It's not the jumping as much as the landing because it forces all that weight down on his ankles, and it could cause more instability, which would lead to further complications. So it's just that you have to be really careful with it. And already, I know I heard Mazzulla say today, it's not going to be Porzingis' decision. It's not going to be his decision. It's going to be the medical staff that makes the call on whether or not he can play. And that's a big responsibility because if he goes out there and suffers an injury that could keep him out all next season or even longer than that, or maybe even his career, you got real trouble. And I know it's the finals and players seem to always want to play, but you have to protect them from themselves. No question.
Oh, I mean, we've seen that a lot of the time, and you got to make sure the players, best interests are at heart because a lot of these guys are going to find a way to get on that court no matter what. And this particular injury, like you said, if you have any instability in that ankle, especially a guy like that who, if you're going to play defense in the paint, you ain't playing defense without leaving your feet. You got to get up and get those shots. And then the worry of what if you do come down, land on someone's foot or something.
Oh.
If you already have an instability there,
Yeah.
that just leads to a more severe spraining or rolling of the ankle. I mean, it could lead to breaks, can lead to so many things. And we've seen before, plenty of people jump up for a shot, come down, roll their ankle without stepping on someone else. It's just the random instability of the ankle.
Yeah.
So if you have anything there, you definitely have to watch it. But he's been coming off the bench, and he's been a huge part of the team's success all year long. But like you said earlier, they've won without him too. So they have that roster, and this goes back to why it is so important to build around the team rather than build around the two, right? Because if you look at Dallas, look at the Luka injury, if he's going and getting pain-killing injections and has a lot that's hampering him, then everything goes on Kawhi, and it's easier for the defense to understand what to do. Is Derek Jones going to bail me out and drop a 50 piece on my head? Probably not, right? But with the Celtics, like you've talked about many times here, is they've been built around not only that core five, but that rotation, a team where anybody can go off.
Mhm.
Everyone really does a good job taking care of each other, so they can weather this storm a little bit better than Dallas can.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it makes this game 3 really interesting because I think everybody expects Dallas to play better at home.
Yeah.
Role players better at home. I think, look, they got 2 bad games out of Kyrie. I don't expect a third game in a row to be bad for him. I think he's going to play a good game this time around. And actually, even the gamblers are saying, the odds makers are saying that Dallas is favored in this game, which I was a little surprised about, but they are. I think 1.5 is all I saw. But if Dallas gets back on the winning track in Game 3, it sets up a great Game 4 because if it goes back to Boston 2-2 and Porzingis isn't playing, you have a whole new series. But still, even still, the Celtics would have the home court advantage in that Game 7. So it's going to be, I think, a real interesting Game 3. I think Game 3 decides this series, Chris. If Boston wins Game 3, it's theirs. It's theirs. There's no way Dallas is going to beat them 4 straight.
No, I don't think so either. Now, there was a graphic we just happened to see on the TV right before we started the segment here, but in the NBA Finals, teams down 0-2 have only come back 14% of the time. So it's a tough go there to come back for Dallas. But yeah, Game 3 is at least going to decide if we have a series on our hands or not. Because if Dallas wins Game 3, then gut tells me they get at least another one somewhere down the line.
Well, we do know one team that came back from 0-2 in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
The Portland Trail Blazers.
That's right.
Lost the first 2 in Philadelphia, one of them in pretty convincing fashion, but rattled off 4 straight wins after that. So it can happen. We've seen it here happen. So I'm not counting Dallas out yet.
So do they need like Derek Jones Jr. to go get in a fight with Jaylen Brown or something? Like, is that how it's going to turn the tide?
I like Derek Jones Jr. a lot, but I don't think he's a fighter.
You don't think he's a fighter?
No, he's not the big, strong type. He's long and lean, put it that way.
Okay, that's
he's
fair.
explosive.
Just go throw a punch. We've seen it, like you said, we've seen it firsthand. It can change a series. So.
Yeah, hit and run, right?
Hit and run.
Give somebody a shot and take off.
There you go. But no, I think it's going to be a good game. I think Luka is going to be fine. Hopefully, gets through whatever he's dealing with. Kyrie too. I mean, Drew Holiday's been incredible defensively. The whole team has. But if there's a guard in this game who can find a way to get past a defense with no holes but still find a hole, I guess Kyrie. Kyrie's. I know that he gets a bad rap because people don't like the persona of Kyrie. But you're hard-pressed to find a better ball handler, a better finisher at the rim, a better mid-range guard in his entire career. I know, like, even Blazer fans like, oh, Dame's way better. Like, Kyrie has a ring, and Kyrie's as a guard, like, Dame can't touch Kyrie's ball handling skills or the way he finishes at a rim. Like, Kyrie's next-level talented, guys.
Yeah, no question. When he's right, when Kyrie is mentally and physically okay, he's impossible.
He's money.
You just can't handle him. I think it will really help him if Porzingis isn't on the floor, too, because he was having trouble finishing over Porzingis.
Yeah.
And if he's not out there, it's a whole new thing for Kyrie. You're going to see some of those little floaters and off balance and wrong arm shots going in. He'll be better at the rim.
Yeah, I think he will. So I'm intrigued. I think Game 3 is going to be good. I think the league needs it too. So, yeah, there you go. Speaking of the NBA, this one has been kind of swept under the rug over the last few days. But with Adam Silver coming out and basically, I mean, once again, we've seen this a few times. But basically saying that Seattle is definitely on our radar for expansion. Some of the cities he threw out there were Seattle, Las Vegas, and Mexico City. That's
not happening. I don't think the Players Association would go for that.
Why not?
I don't think players want to live in Mexico City and have to make all those long flights out of there. Plus, bringing your family there to an area where they don't speak the language might be really tough for them. I just think, and players have a lot of power right now, in case you haven't noticed.
Very true.
I think they would be against it, at least initially. You'd have to prove to them that they could live comfortably in Mexico City without problems.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that one. But I think it'd be one of those ones where like every team but Denver voted for it because Denver doesn't want to lose their altitude advantage because Mexico City is another 2,000 feet above sea level than
Yeah.
Denver is. So
Yeah.
you talk about playing at elevation, Mexico City going to really stress those lungs for you if you're an NBA player.
But Chris, I would say something else about that too. It's been no secret within the people in the know in the NBA. Those two cities are going to be Seattle and Las Vegas. I think it's been ticketed that way for years now. Seattle's getting a team for sure, and I think the whole idea is for Las Vegas to get one, and that's why they're building a new arena outside the town. They'll have yet another basketball arena,
Which is so weird.
I know it's going into that space where they're building a high-speed train between L.A. and Las Vegas, interestingly enough. And that arena is going to be out in that area where we're going to have shopping mall, hotels, all those side businesses that make an arena worthwhile to build, the same way people are building all kinds of ballparks and stadiums nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a little bit of context too, when you talk about travel time to Mexico City, maybe people don't think geographically, but it's very central in Mexico, so it's down south.
Yeah.
So
pretty far
currently,
down.
the longest distance, if you were to take a one-way flight from Portland to any of their opponents, would be the Miami Heat, and that's a 5-hour, 45-minute direct flight to Miami. It is a 7-hour flight from Portland to Mexico City.
Yeah.
I don't know if the NBA wants that as a regular road game.
And you'd have to say, how far is it from Seattle to Mexico City? Because they will be coming in too.
Add your extra hour, and the whole reason I brought this up though, Dwight, is I saw a friend of the show, Softy, up in Seattle, tweet about the Seahawks, or excuse me, the Supersonics, and the fact that like I've never seen a team who left town and 16 years later the fan base still has the same love and passion for that team like they're gone.
Yeah.
And I think that's so interesting because I think he's right. I've never seen anything like it. Like you and I both been to every NBA arena, and I cannot tell you how many Seattle Supersonic jerseys, hats, coats, shirts that I've seen, not just in Portland where you have proximity to Seattle, but in arenas all around the league. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a team in any league move cities and the entire fan base around the league kind of wants that team back.
Well, and honestly, a couple things about that. Number one, they didn't leave Seattle because the franchise wasn't well supported. It was well supported. It was the whole thing with the arena, the expansion, David Stern getting into a row with the legislature in Washington about money for upgrades to Key Arena. And all of that political stuff was the reason they moved. And everybody in the league recognized that. And they also, you know what? They miss Seattle as a city in the league because it's a great city to visit. And hey, I'm a big guy for the Portland-Seattle rivalry.
Oh, big
you
fan.
know, and Seattle treated Portland like Hooterville for a long time during that rivalry, if you remember the TV show Petticoat Junction. But anyway, the league needs Seattle back, and it's going to get back. I have no doubt. It's just the right thing, and it's going to happen. I don't know how quick it's going to happen. But once they've always said, once they get the TV deals out of the way, expansion is next. So TV deals are pretty much out of the way now.
Yep.
They're not into effect till next season, but they're out of the way. So it's time to think about expansion. I don't agree with Las Vegas. I would rather see them go to Vancouver, BC over Las Vegas. I think Vegas is going to get oversaturated real quick.
Yeah, and what I think is interesting about you saying that is, I know at the time when they did have the Grizzlies, it was just kind of, it was right place but wrong time. Like, I don't know if Vancouver was ready for that. The team itself wasn't ready for what was coming. But you and I went to the preseason game in Vancouver.
Yeah.
It was Raptors, Blazers, and I left Rogers Center or Rogers Arena at that time going, Vancouver is so different than it was 20 years ago
Yeah.
that this city needs an NBA team back too.
Yeah, and Canada needs a second team. The whole country is behind the Raptors right now.
Right.
To the point when the Raptors play in Portland, half of Vancouver comes down to root for the Raptors because it's the closest city they have
Right.
to support their team, and it's a big fan base up there. It's a big city now. They could easily support the NBA. They deserve to get that franchise back too, and I would love to see that. I think it makes a lot more sense than Las Vegas does.
Yeah, I agree with you. Las Vegas, though, is just because the NBA has done so much work in trying to make that a hub.
Yeah,
I mean, with the way Summer League has had their success, and then they roll out the way the Aces have found success there in Vegas as well, and then every sports team seems to be looking at it.
Yeah, and everybody just wants to visit Las Vegas. That's
Right.
their vacation spot. Wow, we can now have league meetings there. They even had the All-Star game there one year, which was a joke, in my opinion, and it was kind of a mess.
I say I've heard horror stories from that, and that's part of the reason that the league has balked so long at being involved with Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Was because of the horror stories after that All-Star game.
Yeah, it was not pretty.
So,
Didn't work out very well.
well, I'm with you. See, Vancouver wasn't on their list, but I absolutely think it should be.
I think Vancouver, BC, even if you look at a city like St. Louis, which was a really good NBA town in the old days, and then it was an ABA town, but they lost their team there. Another team that lost their team was Cincinnati. All those cities ought to get consideration before Las Vegas does, I think.
Yeah.
Kansas City, another one.
Yeah, St. Louis would be a good one.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. Yeah, Vegas though, like you said, though, that hey, we have this stadium that's like basically brand new and could handle an NBA team. But let's just do the most Vegas thing ever and let's just build another one. Why
Yeah.
not? Let's just have a hockey stadium and an NBA stadium. And
Yeah.
it's like, my goodness, how many stadiums can one town hold?
Well, that's true, but they every time they want to do something like that, all the casinos are behind them because it just brings more people into town.
That's true.
And the town is choked with traffic right now. I don't know. Last time I was there, it was not a pleasant place to be because you just couldn't get anywhere. Not in a cab. You would either walk or take that elevated monorail. That was okay.
Well, everywhere. The strip and everywhere around is just nonstop construction anymore. So
Yeah. A lot of construction, a lot of traffic. It's a mess.
yeah, it's pretty bad. I had a point too, but I lost it. But just real quick. I also brought this up because you said it multiple times. You said the E word, expansion. Seattle's coming back, and when it comes back, it is via expansion.
Yeah.
And Portland fan, please put to Jody Allen or anybody else. The Blazers are not moving to Seattle. It's just not going to happen.
We need to put that behind us.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
It's not happening.
There's this weird fear, and it's because Blazer fan does love their team. The last thing they want is this team to move.
Well,
I'm with you.
It's the long-held paranoia of somebody from Seattle owning your franchise.
Yeah.
It's always been unfortunate for Portlanders. We don't have local ownership of our sports teams. We don't.
Yeah.
We never have, really, all in all, and that's a shame. It needs to be owned by somebody local.
Absolutely. I'm with you there. Phil Knight, keep doing your thing. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think there's others, too, that
All
would
right.
like to buy.
Well, Game 3 of the NBA Finals going down tomorrow. Expansion talk. Bring the Sonics back. I need it all. Plenty more sports talks coming up here on the Rip City Drive. Welcome back into the Rib City Drive. We're talking NBA expansion and all that stuff here, and you can join the chat, 503-248-0620. Follow both of us on Twitter, Chris J. Burkhardt, or at Dwight Jaynes, or, of course, go to youtube.com, type in Rib City Radio, and get in the chat there. And the talk of expansion got that chat going, and I laughed because Kirk brought up a good point. It's like having two teams and LA, or two teams in LA and Vegas. And I was like, yeah, you think about it with the way they treat Vegas is basically an LA suburb. Like you just go out to on the weekends. You put a train there that's going to connect the two. Go get there super quick. Boom, Vegas. It's I know that it's the hot sports town, but you're right. Like I just, how long does that last? Does the bubble burst on the pro sports?
Yeah, it's going to get to the point where corporate support will dry up because corporations aren't going to have the money as much as they used to, and they're going to be forced into choosing two sports to support, or three rather than 4 or 5. That's what's going to happen, and so you're going to see a lot of that dry up. And then, baseball. If baseball indeed goes there, and I'm still not convinced the whole Oakland A's thing's going to work. If it does, that's every night. Every single night, you have to have a fan base show up for your games, either show up in person or on television. It's going to be a real hard one in Vegas, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's so hot down there in the summer. Yeah, the stadium will be domed, but people still have to get out of their house, go to the game, all the experience. I think when you live in a hotbed like that, people a lot of times just don't want to leave home. They'll go in the backyard and use the pool, but they don't really want to go out, get in their car. I know the car's AC, all that stuff, but a lot of people just don't want to go anywhere. They don't want to be out when it's that hot.
Yeah. And it's interesting, too. I mean, you look at the success, I mean, not on the field, of course, but I mean, the success that the Raiders have had being in Vegas, right? But again, proximity matters. And so if I'm going to take a 6-hour drive to go see my favorite football team who used to reside in my town in Los Angeles, right? And they play 8 home games a year, that's easy breezy.
Yeah.
But is any Oakland A fan who lives in San Francisco going to take the 9-10 hour drive to go watch a series because Oakland's playing the Mariners today? Like, no.
Well, it's strange you mentioned that, but yeah, I know somebody used to work here. Season tickets to the 49er games. Season ticket, went to every 49er home game.
Okay.
And either caught a plane or if there was time, drive down, drive back. I also know a guy I used to work with at the newspaper. He had season tickets to the San Francisco Giants.
Oh, wow.
And he would go down for they'd have a week-long homestand, go down for a week, go down for 2 weeks, whatever. He had the money to stay. He got a really good rate on a hotel in the city, and he just went down. And see, when it's that close, you can do things, and even Portland to the Bay Area is not too bad.
Yeah, I know. I've known people who were Raiders season ticket holders when they were in Oakland, and same thing. Fly down 8 times a year.
Yeah,
it's easy.
Yeah,
and so that one makes sense. But yeah, baseball itself, yeah, you're gonna have a hard time, I would think, filling that stadium. Like at first, everything's good, right? Like if you put the A's in Las Vegas tomorrow in a 35,000 seat stadium it's going to sell out day one, and everything's going to look good.
Just because of the ballpark, if nothing else,
right?
People want to experience that ballpark.
But how long till that novelty wears off, and then you can
especially if there's still the A's and they don't spend money on the product,
right?
Yeah, how long will they support a team that's terrible?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think it'll happen for very long.
Yeah, in Portland again, it makes sense for various reasons because, again, there's I think there's people here who are hungry for it. Unlike Las Vegas, I think you get double your money because you have plenty of people who already make the trek to Seattle.
Oh yeah,
4 games. Like if you had a team in Portland, that's your team now. I'd make the trek to Seattle more often to watch my team play an away game.
Yeah,
right. So little things like that. But you're right. Vegas. I love Las Vegas. It's a go-to vacation spot because it's cheap.
Great for summer league.
Yeah, it's summer league is one of my favorite times of the NBA calendar. But you're right. At some point, it just dries up, I mean, you got to think of Vegas, even your sports team. You're just going to be treated like an old casino at some point. Oh, time to implode and move on out. And we'll have the neon Oakland A's light over in the neon graveyard one day. But this talk though got me thinking, Dwight. And again, thanks for the YouTube chat because they were going off too, making some good points. Another city, like, do you think that the NBA sits there and goes, okay, we didn't have the ability to grab the crystal ball and really look into how these two cities were going to be in vastly different trajectories in the future. But you think the NBA goes, gosh, I wish when we took that team from Vancouver, we plopped it in Nashville and not Memphis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for people who don't know it, Memphis, I think it's gotten worse over the last few years. It wasn't as bad when they first moved there, but now, man, that city's in peril, I think. There's some dangerous spots, as we know. The arena is not really in a great spot from what we saw. Not a great city for hotels.
Oh, it's probably the worst city in the NBA for hotels.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of them. They're not very good. Like it's not a great spot for hotels for sure.
Yeah, it's nothing like what used to be its little brother, Nashville, which is now just booming. Nashville's probably a big competitor for that expansion baseball franchise that Portland wants. Nashville's hot right now. People are moving there in droves.
Do you think these leagues will ever enter? I mean, I know soccer has, but will they enter a place like Austin, or will they sit there and say, "Nah, Texas has too much"?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know about Austin. I've been to Austin too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
the music scene is great.
Heard great things about it.
You won't find better barbecue anywhere. I'm an expert. And I've tried barbecue all over the country. And as you know, in Canada, where it's very good.
Oh, yes.
In Toronto, we found a great place. But Austin, yeah.
Yeah, okay. The one other city you never hear about, but I just would love to see them have a team just to complete the Big Four is Pittsburgh. Put a team in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
As long as you follow what you've done with all your other sports, an NBA team in Pittsburgh has to be black and yellow, just because I love that. I love that all their teams are the same color.
Yeah.
But Pittsburgh would be another one. St. Louis makes a lot of sense, though, like you said. Like it's a sports town. Got one team ripped out from under them, but
they lost the Spirits of St. Louis, which was the ABA team, and then the old St. Louis Hawks went to Atlanta and became the Atlanta Hawks.
There you go.
They had some really great players and good teams in St. Louis. Yeah, I don't know what it is about St. Louis, but teams leave there.
I don't know why.
Had the Rams there for a while.
That's true.
Built the big dome stadium.
The greatest show on turf.
Yeah.
All right, 1 hour down, 2 more to go. Chris Burkhardt here with the Godfather Dwight Jaynes on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Well, hello there, Rip City. It is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Another beautiful sunny day, and still plenty of sports to talk about. First off, in the NBA, the Celtics have a 2-0 series lead in the NBA Finals as the series shifts to Dallas tomorrow for Game 3. But the Celtics could be without Kristaps Porzingis, who has a rare injury, the team is saying. Very long medical term, but let's just say it's impacting his left ankle, and he is listed as questionable for Game 3, but his status is very much up in the air at this point. Would have a big impact on the series. But Dallas, they're banged up too. Now you're getting reports that Luka had pain-killing shots before Game 2, so he's dealing with plenty of bumps and bruises as well. And in the world of Major League eating, 16-time Nathan's hot dog eating champion Joey Chestnut, as of right now, out of the July 4th contest. Hour 2 of the drive starts now. This is Major Burke to ground control. Ground control, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
I couldn't hear anything from Michael Shacker, though.
Oh, you couldn't hear the music? Oh,
Yeah.
that's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird. I'm blaming that on technical errors. Maybe
I'm
your
blaming it on
headphone wires.
Shacker. That's who I'm blaming it on.
Nah,
Spending too much time doing all that artwork for the YouTube site with my picture on it.
Hey, to be fair, he requested that I sent it to him. You know, that was my fancy footwork. but-
Oh, okay.
All right. Hey, Dwight. It's golf weather. You been out to the links yet?
No.
Why not?
I've been to the range. My back's killing me right now. Trying to build back up where I can play around, but the first day at the range was about 15 minutes. The second day got up to maybe a half hour. So I think a couple more trips to the range, I'll be okay and get out there. But yeah, plus, I mean, I start preparing for this job at about 8 o'clock in the morning. So it doesn't leave much of the day to play. And I don't get home till 7. So there's just not much of the day to play. I try to play on weekends, but the course is crowded on weekends.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a quick nine's good radio thinking time.
Yeah. Thinking time is one thing, though. Prowling around the internet looking for topics is what takes the time.
That's true.
And that really starts heavily tomorrow when Chad returns,
Yeah.
because then the search gets deeper and the topics have to be much more well-defined.
I don't know if that's a compliment or a slap in the face, Dwight. But
Oh, it's a slap in the face, just not at you.
I love it. I love it. But hey, how's Nancy's back doing? Has she recovered from carrying Chad through that little pairing of theirs they had to do?
We prefer not to talk about that. That's not a wise thing. Actually, they both played about the same. Neither one of them brought their A game. I will
Oh
say
my
that.
goodness.
They're not accustomed to being partners in a crazy kind of it's a crazy format, and they didn't mesh well at first. And then the second day, when they were poised, I think, to make a comeback, that was the day where it just rained hard all day long. They were drenched. Grips got wet. They just weren't. I mean, Chad actually rode in the cart that day. That's how bad it was. And he's a walker almost every time. He
true.
never rides, but he had to just to stay out of the rain in this one. So, yeah, I'm going to throw out the results of this last weekend and or the weekend before, actually, and wait till next year. He wants to play it again next year, and so does she. So I think we'll see a better result next season.
Well, there you go. And the reason, of course, the weather's turning, so you got to talk golf. But with the U.S. Open coming up,
Yeah.
right? You and I talked a little bit about just the absolute tear that Scotty Scheffler has been on this year. I mean, midway through, already putting up a better year than he had in previous years. He's opening up here odds right now, plus 300, best odds of anyone. McIlroy's behind him, 12-1. Colin Morikawa, 14-1. DeChambeau 18-1, Brooks Koepka, another big name there, at 20-1, and you keep going down, way down this list, and they're at 200-1. Tiger Woods.
Yeah, they ought to have odds for him just making the cut.
His odds to
because
make the
that's
cut.
been a
He's
problem.
let's see, he's at, I can tell you, he's at plus 220 to make the cut, minus 300 to miss it.
I don't know that I wouldn't bet him to miss the cut. I mean, he's had problems, and this course will be a tough one. Real tough.
This is true. Now, though, this is from today. ESPN. Tiger Woods, who last made the cut at the U.S. Open in 2019, says that he's looking forward to this tournament. Likes his chances. Basically, the Florida heat's going to help his body. Like Tiger Woods coming in with a little bit of confidence, and he's not wrong there. I mean, with that, the way his body's been banged up, you can play in that warm, that humidity kind of keeps those joints loose. Might help him a little bit.
I love it. I know that playing in heat really does help you. It does keep you warm. He doesn't like the cold weather. He made a crack about that today, and I understand that. It's tougher as you get older. The cold really keeps you from getting loose. It doesn't do you much good. But, you know, Tiger's still Tiger, and his name still brings magic. And
it does.
People will still, his gallery will be huge. People still want to see him swing the golf club.
What's better for ratings? Caitlin Clark being on the United States women's national team for the Olympics, or Tiger Woods being in the hunt on day 4 at the U.S. Open?
Oh, Tiger Woods. Yeah, Tiger Woods.
He puts butts in seats.
Yeah. By the way, did you see that prank that the guy played at the country club just down the road from Valhalla?
I did not. What do we got here?
It was a classic, Chris. This is a club in the neighborhood of Valhalla where Scotty Scheffler was arrested.
Yes.
Okay. So this guy pulls up for some sort of a company tournament or something at another club. And on the side of his car was a dummy with a police uniform on it and a police vest, one of those yellow parking vests. And it was hanging on to the windowsill of the car in the front seat, and the legs were draped under the car. And the guy was pulling in with this. And you could see the guys in golf carts getting ready to go out on the course, and you could just sort of hear the cascade of laughter as his car followed through, and all these people were looking at it. But a pretty good move by this guy, and he pulled it off well.
Yeah, that's an interesting story, how that one all unfolded. You get the report of, I was left bloody and bruised, and then a picture of it finally hit the interwebs, and it's like the tiniest little scratch on this policeman's shin. Like, my gosh.
I heard from somebody who lives in Kentucky, and they were telling me that Louisville police force is one of the largest in the country because they don't have county sheriffs or anything. Everything in the whole metro area is city of Louisville police. So they have a whole lot of officers, way more than the average police force. And when you have that many officers, it becomes harder to hire police. And so maybe a few get in the door that aren't quite as good as you would like, but you're taking as many as you can out of the police academies because not that many people want to be cops anymore. So you have some people who might be a little shaky in the first place, but then they say, I was told by somebody who lives in that state, Louisville is really not the place you want to make any sort of driving mistakes or anything even close to breaking the law. You won't do very well there. Yeah. And so that's kind of the word about Louisville. If you go in there, just be real careful with what you do and how you do it.
Yeah. Well, just any sporting event, man. Sometimes, I get the side eye, this and that, like pulling in places I'm not supposed to be.
Yeah.
Even though they think I'm not supposed to be there, but I'm supposed to be there.
Right.
Like, I got this pass. Well, that doesn't mean. Yeah, it does. Like, just chill.
And when you've been in as many arenas as we have, you learn to learn a lot about security guards, people who are there with badges who aren't cops, but many times they think they are. They give a lot of orders. They get real tough.
Sometimes that
and they don't know what they're talking about.
Sometimes that's CMS, man.
It's like, I'm wearing a pass here. This is a pass. I don't care. It's not the right color. You're not supposed to be in this part. You're wrong.
I can't tell you how many times I've walked past the security guard from behind them, right? Like say they're blocking a hallway and I've walked from behind them and then went to go get a piece of my equipment and came back and they're like, you can't go back there. What?
I just came from
I
there.
literally just came from there. I walked by you. You know I'm allowed to be there. No, your past doesn't. Yes, it does. I was literally just there.
Yeah.
Like what? Like I don't.
Terrible.
Guys,
So frustrating.
I get you're doing your job too, but I literally just came from there. What do you mean I'm not allowed? Oh, my head's gonna explode. So
yeah, I've had a few of those in the past.
it's wild. It
Yeah.
gets pretty wild. But yeah, if Tiger can even get in the mix in the Open, it's going to be a big one. Do you think that Scheffler continues the hot streak though? Is he just too hot to be stopped right now?
I do think so. It's a great course for guys who are good with their irons. Well, guess what? Good with his irons.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think he will win. If I could make a bet, Scheffler or the field, I would make the Scheffler bet.
Okay.
I would not take the field. I don't think, but I don't bet, so it's kind of a moot question. But he's just playing so well. It's almost like Tiger Woods all over again. He's that dominant right now, and the other players in the field know that, which is even more dangerous. That's like Tiger too, where people start to get a little bit intimidated.
Right.
They might fall apart on the last day because of who they're playing with, that kind of thing. And he's not the most intimidating figure in the world. He's not that kind of guy.
Right.
But still, his play speaks for itself.
Yeah, he's getting to that point because Tiger's prime run, like not only he was playing great, but then he had something that very few golfers have, and that's an aura.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there was a mystique about Tiger, and
Yeah.
and Scheffler's kind of starting to get that.
He is, Chris. And I noticed on X, I think it was yesterday, our guy, PGA Dave Coleman, he picked Scheffler and just said, it's his. It's his if he can, if he just goes out and if he goes out and is Scotty Scheffler again, he'll win.
Yeah.
And Dave's he's smart. He's picked the last couple majors for us right on the nose, so he knows what he's talking about.
Well, it's like any of these other sports that you and I cover, NBA, Major League Baseball. Like if you got a guy who's swinging a hot stick in the bigs, they can find a way to keep that streak going for a while. Because when you're hot, right? Same thing with a guy who's found the stroke in the NBA. Like you might eventually have that game. Okay, the hot streak's over, but they get on a heater, and then you'll see games where they just go and go and go, and that's what Scheffler's doing right now. But me, I'm rooting for Tiger. I just like same thing with like Lewis Hamilton, even though he's not as close to the end of his career as Tiger is. But when you see an all-time great get to the end, you just want to see him get that one last hurrah, man.
Oh, sure.
God,
I agree.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine Tiger going out winning the Open? That's where I'm not going to put my money because you know what? I don't need to lose anything. All right, Chris Burkhardt
I
here,
feel the same
the
way,
Godfather,
Chris.
Dwight Jaynes. You know what? Chad would be pretty upset that we've lasted this long into the week without some NFL talk. So we're going to talk some NFL. Got some thoughts on Bo Nix and Justin Herbert. Tie it back to our Oregon Ducks here with mini camps underway in the NFL. Chris Burkhardt here, the Godfather, Dwight Jaynes on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. San Antonio.
Yeah.
That's another fun city. Majorly underrated.
Yeah.
I like San Antonio.
I agree. A lot of fun.
Good vibes, good food.
Bad arena, however. I don't like their arena.
That's because on a scale of 1 to 10, they turn it up to 11. It's too loud for Dwight.
No, it's not that. It's just, I don't know. It's very drab, dull. Nothing exciting about it.
Yeah,
You don't like their arena, do you?
I don't think it's bad, but I think it's mid. It's mid tier.
Yeah, maybe. It's out way away from.
Oh, you got to
everything,
take a
too.
trek to get to it. That's
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
too far away.
That's for sure. But it's not terrible.
I like the Riverwalk downtown, though.
Riverwalk's great. Riverwalk is that's good stuff right there. Good
Lot
job,
of fun.
San Antonio. All right, let's get to some NFL talk. So first off, we got some audio here. That's the hint for Shacker to make sure the PC is ready to go.
Uh-huh.
But we got some audio here. Chargers mini camp, Harbaugh talking Herbert and all that. But before we get to what he has to say, the Chargers go in, draft a big offensive lineman. They try to shore that up. Like, hey, keep my quarterback upright. He'll make the throws. Like, what are you expecting from a Herbert? Not only revamped offensive line, but year one under Harbaugh, who has a very long line of success with a quarterback with a strong arm.
Well, first of all, Harbaugh has a game plan. It's stereotypical because it's what he does every place he goes.
Yes.
You see him go to the draft, and it was no secret. He's going to go out and get some linemen. He got big, strong linemen. They're going to run the football, and they're going to run to set up the pass, and it's going to lead to a great season for Justin Herbert because they're not going to know when he's going to throw the ball. There are going to be a lot of play-action passes. They'll run the ball well enough that when he does pass, he should have protection. His scheme is really infallible. You can go back to Stanford or the 49ers, Michigan, wherever you want to go, and his offense works because, they can run the football, which opens up everything else you want to do. And he will run the football. Come hook or crook, he will figure out a way to run the football. And it starts with big offensive linemen who know what they're doing. He'll coach them up so that they move in unison. They'll be coordinated very well. He's always had a great offensive line, and they will again. And he's got just the right quarterback to handle a system like that. And I think Herbert will have a season like no season he's ever had. That's my guess.
I would hope so. And you look at like what Harbaugh did in San Francisco, I think it's very easy to forget because Colin Kaepernick ended up coming in and looking good, and they went to the Super Bowl. But prior to that, Harbaugh was getting the absolute best to that point out of Alex Smith.
Yeah.
And Alex Smith had just been, he's a former top pick and, constant change in head coach and coordinator. He's washed. And he got injured, and that's when Kaepernick got the job. But he was having the best year of his career with Harbaugh. Mm-hmm. Actually, kind of rejuvenated him a bit, and he ended up having a good stop in KC and with Washington and stuff. But no, and it's the same. And Alex Smith was that same build of a quarterback, a guy who can play well in the play action, good arm strength, can do those things, but is going to find the best success if you set up the run and keep him upright. And that's what Harbaugh does. So he finds ways to get his quarterback's numbers, man. That's for sure. So I think Herbert is poised right now.
Yeah, I think it's a great situation for him. As soon as Harbaugh got that job, I thought, man, one person's going to really profit from this, and that's the quarterback. And he's a great quarterback for it. And the great thing is Harbaugh knows it. Harbaugh likes him. He wanted the job partly because of Herbert. And there's got to be that synergy between the head coach and the quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. There does. I mean, he also got an incredible run out of J.J. McCarthy, who I don't think is a great quarterback, at least by NFL standards. We'll see if I'm proven wrong. I'm proven wrong, but Harbaugh got plenty out of him as well. Now, they did have day one of their camp, and it's interesting because Harbaugh did have a chance to talk about his quarterback, and not only to talk about the plays he's making, but he also talked about his leadership, which I think is great because what was the biggest knock on Herbert going into the draft? Oh, he's not a vocal leader, and his leadership is questionable, because everybody is an expert. But let's take a second to hear what old Coach Harbaugh had to say.
When you have your franchise quarterback crush a conditioning test like that, how much does it kind of showed it the rest of the group leadership and being a team leader and everything.
Yeah, there's been so many guys that have stepped up into that role of example setter, tone setter, here every day, every meeting, every weight room session, every practice, engaged. I mean, every day, every hour, every minute. Nobody more than Dwight Jaynes and Justin Herbert. Those two have been really off the charts and incredible, and set the tone and been leaders by example the entire offseason.
Justin, is there a moment from this spring that got you most excited, whether that's on the field, in the classroom?
Boy, that would be a long list. I don't have that list in front of me right now, but it's just a bunch. It's just numerous throws, of course. The smashing the conditioning test. Just like child's play. The way he's picked up the system, the cadence, the motion landmarks, the protections, his knowledge of protection. Yeah, I could point to a bunch of examples where he changed the protection, picked up the blitz, knew the blitz was coming, made this incredible throw or that. Boy, if I had to say the top of the list would be, just the way he elevates teammates. He lifts them up, kind of makes himself smaller and them bigger, as opposed to the guy that pushes the others down and, look at me. That's seen numerous ones of those. I think right now that would probably top the list, even though there's some there's some other ones too that are, but there's never any shameless self-promotion. He's just been willing to do anything and everything for the team.
There you have it. He's been doing everything and anything for the team. He's sounding like a leader, even though everyone, pre-draft years ago said he wasn't. And that clip to me, Dwight, as I listened to it before the show and during the show when I was cutting it, it just sounds like a coach in Harbaugh who is kind of giddy about the quarterback that he has, and basically gave him a very Harbaugh compliment without, getting too hyped over it and being corny. But it sounds like he definitely has the quarterback that he wants, which is why he went to coach the Chargers in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's really sold on him, and he should be, because I felt sorry for Herbert because he's been there too long without having that kind of head coach. And I'm telling you, in that league, if you don't have the right head coach, your career arc is not going to be the same as it is with a great coach.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, for a quarterback especially, if you don't land with one of those offensive gurus, you're in real trouble. You might not ever get to show all your abilities as a quarterback, because some of these guys just don't know how to do it. They do not. And we saw what happened to him. He was wasting away. The last couple of years has been god-awful for him, where they couldn't protect him. He's thrown under pressure all the time. He's getting hurt. And he's getting hurt in ways that a quarterback shouldn't have to be subjected to, where he's just facing all-out rushes all the time. He's got nowhere to go. And he's got somebody now who's going to protect him like the asset that he is.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. And I've always been big on this. Even when you looked at, the year that Penei Sewell was in the draft and you had Jamar Chase and everyone was talking about, hey, when you have Joe Burrow, get him a weapon to throw to. And I'm always like, no, get him someone who will keep him upright, and he'll make anybody a weapon, right? If you have a bad offensive line and good wide receivers, doesn't matter, because if you can't have protection, you're never going to be able to get those receivers the ball, right? But if you have a great offensive line and even, average wide receivers, you're going to be able to make those receivers look great, because you're going to put the ball in situations they can catch it.
Yeah,
pretty simple.
Agree. Yeah, I agree. No question about it. And Harbaugh's not going to make those mistakes. He knows. I think it's a family thing almost. They all play hard-nosed football from the father on down, and they've been taught the right way to do things. And it's been true in football for a long, long time. As much as I love the passing game, man, you have to run the ball. You just have to.
Sets up everything. It always has, always will.
Yeah.
And you got to do something to keep the defenses on their toes. And you're right. Herbert's in a good spot here. I like the fact they drafted some guys who can keep him upright. I think the coach to QB talent pairing is incredible. It's a perfect quarterback for that coach and a perfect coach for that quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, granted, I don't think that Herbert is as good as Andrew Luck was, but he's Andrew Luck-esque in the mold of how Harbaugh wants to use him and has those same tools.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And he's very similar to Andrew Luck in that he's very intelligent and he's got good size.
Yeah, very, very big, very smart, great arm. Andrew Luck probably ran the ball better than people thought, just like Herbert does. So there's just a lot of parallels between how they can best be utilized and best play. Again, I love Justin Herbert, liked him at Oregon, was irritated that the coach that they had at the time only threw, 5-yard passes with him or running back screens constantly and never let him unleash the cannon. But yeah, like Andrew Luck is a far better quarterback. And, but again, when you're built in that mold and you got a quarterback who did what? Between him and David Shaw, who was his coordinator, basically molded Andrew Luck into the quarterback that ended up being a great NFL quarterback. Just hang him up early. You're in a good spot here. So this is a good thing for Herbert. The only negative is if it doesn't work out, well, then, where do you go from here if you're Justin Herbert? But I think it's going to work just fine.
Well, it better work, yeah. I think you mentioned Andrew Luck, but he wasn't as lucky when he got to the pros in that they didn't protect him as well as in college. And he got a succession of injuries that basically ran him out of the game early.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And that, again, and then it just goes right back to the importance of keeping them upright. And at least if you can't keep them upright here and there, a quarterback can take a hit in the pocket and be a little bit more protected. But you saw even Andrew Luck, how many times everything breaks down. The only way to fix this is to get out of the pocket. You leave yourself exposed.
Oh, yeah.
You take the hits that you don't want to take as a quarterback. So keep them up, let them go. Now, another quarterback that is going to be put to the test in the same division, by the way, Oregon quarterback Bo Nix. Now they're in Denver. That's right. I'm taking all of Chad's thunder, even though
is it a Bo Nix update?
It's a Bo Nix update.
Oh my goodness!
But that he's going to want to talk Bo Nix tomorrow anyway with you because he's like, oh my gosh, haven't had my fix.
Yeah.
I haven't talked. Let's see. Burkhardt filled in Thursday, so oh my gosh, it's been like 6 days since I've talked Bo Nix on the radio. He's gonna be jonesing for some Bo Nix. But this is an update, not from Denver exactly, but you did have Dan Lanning on with Colin Cowherd talking about Bo Nix and the poise that he has.
I love Bo Nix. I watched you play live twice. I was at the Utah game. I was up in Seattle. He just doesn't make any mistakes, right? Like he may not, he can move. He's mobile, but he stays within the play and the structure. What will you miss? What is Bo Nix that I don't see? What is something that you're like, man, because I saw him play at Auburn, I saw him at Oregon. He's a special kid. Like, what is there something you're a little worried you miss a little bit with him?
Well, I'm going to miss the person. He's a special individual. He's as good of a person as I've ever met. And, his wife Izzy's unbelievable. I mean, he came here with a different level of maturity, already married.
Yeah.
I felt like we had another coach in the building. And what separates Bo is how much time he puts in to work. He watches more film than coaches. There's no one that's going to step on the field more prepared than Bo. And then the way he practices every day, the level of intensity, his commitment to being great, it really, kind of spread throughout our program.
Yeah, we brought him here on the show for 30.
That's a quick clip from Dan Lanning. But the reason that clip gets me excited if I'm a Denver fan is, doesn't that sound exactly like the type of quarterback that Sean Payton wants? A guy whose nose is in the book, a guy who, coach, you watch 10 hours of film, so I'm going to watch 11, and knows what needs to happen. Like, it's a very Drew Brees-esque because Drew Brees worked his tail off and could call a game basically from the field, and that's what Sean Payton likes. And so this is another one where this sounds, if he can do those things that Dan Lanning says and do them in a Sean Payton offense, sets up pretty well for Bo Nix to have a successful rookie year.
Well, and the part about him not making mistakes, that's critical, really, for Sean Payton, because he strikes me as a guy who thinks he makes no mistakes, so he doesn't want his quarterback to make any either.
Yeah, that's true. That's
and
absolutely
take that
true.
for whatever way you want, Sean Payton.
No,
But he can get a little bit arrogant about things once in a while, especially his offense.
Yeah, and it's true, and it's interesting because you saw with Russ over the last few years there in Denver, and with Sean Payton, like at times they tried to make Russ stay in the pocket, right? Keep him upright, but that's a little hard to do when you're listed at 6 foot, but you're really about 5'10", trying to look over a 6'5" offensive lineman. And the strength of your game has never been in the pocket; it's always been outside the pocket, throwing on the run, getting those feet set when you're away from the defense, letting it fly. So they put him in the spots that he was not going to succeed. As good as a quarterback of Russell Wilson is, he just wasn't going to succeed in those situations.
He didn't let Russ be Russ. That was the real problem.
No, he didn't let Russ cook. He let Russ microwave leftovers, right? That's what he made to let him do. And they never taste as good as letting him cook, right?
Yeah.
But Bo Nix, again, has the ability to leave the pocket, but a lot of his success at Oregon was going through his reads, being kept upright by a good offensive line, and staying in the pocket to make those smart decisions, which is, again, it's exactly what Sean Payton wants from his quarterback, and exactly how he's going to set up the offense. And now he has a quarterback who can do it, has the wherewithal mentally to be in those situations, has the arm strength to do it. So, again, this is another one where it feels like perfect rookie quarterback for a coach, perfect coach for that quarterback.
Which one are you going to want to watch the most? You going to want to watch Herbert more or Nix more?
You know, it's a really good question. I like Herbert more, but going into this year, I'm going to want to watch Nix more because I really want to see how he makes
more unknown.
Yeah,
right?
these quick adjustments as a rookie. Like Herbert, I almost feel like it's just like this is too perfect, so I almost don't want to watch it because I'm afraid to watch the wheels fall off in front of my eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Nix, there's a lot of unknown. But I'm confident in the fact that he can be a good NFL quarterback. But because of his age coming in as an older rookie, and Sean Payton, kind of having a lot on the line, I feel like he's going to have one chance to get it right, and it has to be now. Like if he messes up in Denver, Bo Nix isn't going to have a ton more chances to go be that guy, right? But he has one right here he has to take advantage of, and that's intriguing to me. And he does have guys who are, they're not studs, but I mean, Zach Wilson, he's going to be breathing down his neck because Zach Wilson's like, yeah, this is my second home now. And yeah, I want to prove to the world that I'm an NFL quarterback too. So he's going to have someone breathing down his neck. But I'm also under the assumption that Bo Nix is the guy. I think that he should be the guy on day one. You drafted him for a reason. So I'm going to be watching.
Yeah, I think, and Zach Wilson, by the way, has not been good early so far from what they're saying. And Chad was betting that they might move him because he can't keep all three of them. And
no, you can't.
It's a problem. I think you're right. Bo Nix has to be the starter when the season opens. That's just the way it has to go. He has to take his lumps that first year, just like all the great ones did, including Peyton Manning, who had a terrible first year. But you got to go through that to learn.
Yeah, and the real answer, too, to your question, Dwight, is you ask who am I more excited to watch? Well, I'm also assuming beginning of the year because week 1 is when I'm going to be the most excited about Bo Nix. By about week 5 or 6, when we've had our Chad doing Phil of Bo Nix takes, I'm not going to want to watch another Bo Nix game.
I'll pass that on to Chad.
I'll let him know, too. I'll text him during the break. All right, plenty of more sports talk coming up here. Chris Burkhardt joined by the Godfather, Dwight Jaynes, on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here with you, joined by the Godfather, Dwight Jaynes. And Dwight, oh my goodness, there's controversy in the MLE. We got an official statement now from Joey Chestnut. He says on X, I was gutted to learn from the media that after 19 years, I'm banned from the Nathan's 4th of July hot dog eating contest. I love the competition in that, competing in that event. I love celebrating America with my fans all over this great country on the 4th, and I have been training to defend my title. To set the record straight, I do not have a contract with MLE or Nathan's, and they are looking to change the rules from past years as it relates to other partners I can work with. This is apparently the basis on which I'm being banned, and it doesn't impact the 4th of July event. Sadly, this is the decision Nathan's and Major League Eating are making, and it will deprive the great fans of the holiday's usual joy and entertainment. To my fans, I love you and appreciate you. Rest assured that you'll see me eat again soon. Stay hungry.
I will live to eat again.
He will live to eat again. But, man, not even Joey Chestnut can get the word sent to him before the media breaks the news, and that's how he found out. He found out through the media.
Yeah, was that a Woj bomb, or how did that come about? Who broke that big story?
I think that might have been a Woj bomb. You never know. Or is there a Woj equivalent to who covers Major League?
The hot dog equivalent, yes.
Like that's funny. Now, Dwight. Oh man, come on. Right as I go to do something here, the internet's like, hey, we don't want to work on your computer anymore. Now it's working. So there we go. Dwight, you sent me a clip this morning, and it's just, you know what like it was the great legendary Harry Carey of Chicago Cubs fame, right? And when you listen to Harry Carey, any of his calls, he might be like the personification of, they don't make them how they used to, right? Like he was a one of a kind, man.
Oh gosh, they couldn't make him that way anymore because they wouldn't get away with the stuff he did.
This clip is hilarious, and it's accompanied by a video, but we're on radio, so you can't see it.
I have to tell you though, see, they were on WGN, which was just like TBS in those days. It was a superstation, so everybody got to see the Cubs all the time. Now they weren't as popular as the Braves in those days because they had a terrible team. The Braves weren't very good either, but the Cubs were just awful. But anyway, it was always Harry Carey and Steve Stone, and their producer was Arnie Harris, who produced Cubs games for decades. And so they became characters on the air. But Harry was just a character, a guy who, when the game started, he would take his pants off and broadcast in his undershorts. He wore boxer shorts.
Oh, my God.
And he did that. And he was known, his advertising was always Budweiser, and he was known to have a few buds during the game. So as the game went along, you might hear, and he was also a big fan of the team. So he would root along with the fans. There was no doubt that he was a homer and he didn't care. So setting that up, here's a typical day listening to Harry Carey.
You know, of all the places that you meet, good-looking and interesting women, the libraries, they say, this is supposed to be a matter of fact, the libraries are number one on the list.
Well, you know, it's surprising you say that, Harry, because on the off days, Arnie Harris and I frequently go to the various libraries around the major cities that we visit. She was at the library.
We met her at the library yesterday.
And for context, the camera then cuts to an attractive woman in the stands, and we met her at the library yesterday.
That's just Harry. I'm telling you. I can remember there was one game my son and I were watching, and all I have to do is mention it to him and we break out laughing. The great Lee Smith was the closer for the Cubs. He's in the Hall of Fame as a closer. Big, giant guy. Always dependable. But, you know, with relievers, every once in a while you bring them in and they don't have it. Well, this was a day where they had a lead. Lee Smith comes in and he's getting knocked all over the park. Harry took it for about 2 hitters. And after 2 hitters, you hear it from the press box. Oh, my goodness. Take him out of there. Get him out. Take him out. Now, this is the broadcaster telling the manager, the home team, to lift the reliever out of the game. A guy who ends up in the Hall of Fame. Take him out of there. Guy was like, Harry, you're not sitting in section 18, row 5, you know? Take it easy a little bit. But that was Harry Carey. He was incredible. He had a bar in downtown Chicago, and you go there after a game, and sure enough, old Harry would usually be there having a few buds.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Crazy.
The first comment on that video is they would have been canceled today.
Oh, yeah. I don't think there's any question.
I just love that. Was Steve Stone there? The next comment. That's funny they say that. 'Cause every city we go to, I go to their library.
Yeah,
like,
Artie and I go there all the time.
Yeah, like I'll never forget. It's not Harry Carey, but it was the wild one, Mike Rice. Right.
Yeah.
One time they were doing their promo on the TV there, like you had to buy $50, whatever it was, 2 hot dogs, 2 tickets, and a Blazer Dancer calendar.
Oh,
and Mike Barrett's reading off, and also you hear Mike Rice go, like to be at that photo shoot. And it's like, Mike, what? Like on air, my guy. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But he was the wild one.
Yes, he was. Well, and Harry was known too. He had these weird things. Well, first of all, he couldn't pronounce players' names if they were complicated at all. He would stumble around through players' names all the time. But then he had this fixation on saying players' names backwards.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. A guy would come up and he would read the name backwards. It's like, Harry, what are you doing? And he'd just say it backwards. And then they had a catcher named Jody Davis. And for some reason, every time he'd come to the plate, you'd hear Harry, Jody Davis. He would sing it like that old song about Davy Crockett. There was a Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. And he would use that tune to sing Jody Davis. I don't know. It was just Harry. He was kind of loony. He was
There's not enough there's a lot of great announcers still to this day, but there's not enough announcers just having a ton of fun on the broadcast. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them try to be so buttoned up or so professional, which is fine. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying there's not like Harry. He was having fun.
Yeah,
he was having fun,
and he was what did he say? I'm a Bud man and a Cubs fan.
I'm a Bud man and a Cubs fan.
Yeah, I'm a Bud man and a Cubs fan.
Gosh.
And he was a Cubs fan.
Bud must have ate
and
that
he
up,
was a
right?
Bud man too.
That's great.
Yeah.
He's a legend. He's an absolute legend. That's why Mike Parker yells at the umpires, right?
Yeah.
Take him out of that's a terrible call.
Yeah. By the way, Harry is, of course, the father of Skip Carey and the grandfather of Chip Carey.
That's
an amazing family.
That is. That's Harry Carey. What a legend. All right, 2 hours down. One more to go. One quick break here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Hello there, Rip City. It is 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Hope you're enjoying the nice weather out there and enjoying the show as we talk sports, because there's still plenty to talk about. But the big stories right now are in the NBA. Game 3 going down in Dallas of the NBA Finals tomorrow night. But the Celtics could be without big man Kristaps Porzingis. He is dealing with a, quote, rare injury in his left leg. He's listed as questionable, but it is leading to some instability in his ankle, and his status for the rest of the series is very much up in the air. So that will be something to watch out for. But on the Dallas side of things, there is reports coming out that for game 2, Luka Doncic was getting some painkillers. He's dealing with some low back tightness and a couple other bumps and bruises as well. So right now, these two teams are giving it their all, their blood, sweat, and tears, and their bodies in pursuit of a championship. And in the eating world, Joey Chestnut won't compete at the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. Hour 3 of The Drive starts now. Welcome back into the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here, filling in for Chad Doing. For those of you who tune in and go, oh my gosh, where's my man Chad? Don't worry, he'll be back tomorrow after enjoying the East Coast, some baseball games there at Yankee Stadium between the Dodgers and the Yankees. So he was having a good old time. The Godfather's here, though. He's enjoying his time. I know he is.
Yeah, it's a welcome break. Not really. I miss him. I do miss him.
See, Dwight has got it. Dwight's living the life. He gets a small dose of Burkhardt, just enough till he's tired of me, and then he gets Chad back, and just enough till he's tired of him, and then he gets the weekend. It's like, we're keeping you nice and balanced.
Yeah, it should be a good week in that regard, I think. Yes, it's a rare one, and I think we're going to be at the ballpark Friday night, right?
Hey, I saw that.
Don't you have us down for that?
I saw that on my schedule. I think that that might be the case. Chad will give us the actual deets on that when he gets back. But yeah, out at Hillsborough Ballpark, and the Hops are playing some fun ball right now. And that Northwest League, man, that's something else. It's you gotta get out to those games, man. 'Cause it's fun just to have some basketball on your back porch in Hillsborough. Good baseball too. A lot of those guys, I think it's like 50 of them that they've sent out to the major leagues who have been through the Hops organization. So good stuff that KL and company have down there.
Oh yeah, they run it. It's just a great entertainment vehicle. I really enjoy going, just because they know how to do the game ops. They make it fun, whether the home team wins or not. You have a fun night. The concessions are good. Things are fresh. It's a great experience. Take the kids. It's a clean, cool family entertainment night when you go out there.
Yes, it absolutely is. And yeah, it's crazy though, is I think there was people who were, up in arms, if you will, about it when MLB took over operation of the minors. And now, man, like it seemed like a good idea at first, right? When Major League Baseball was saying, we want all these minor league stadiums to be up to Major League Baseball standards.
Yeah.
Right? And that sounded like a really good idea at first. Like, yeah, Major League, it's an organization, get them up there. But then you saw all the hard work that Hillsborough had to do to keep their team.
Yeah.
And now it does seem like, unless something drastic happens, that the long history of the Eugene Emeralds is going to be put to bed, and they'll lose their team because they couldn't get a bond measure passed for a new stadium out there, because PK Park is up to their college standards, but not minor league baseball standards. So this hurt, at the end of the day, what is the core of minor league baseball, which is these small town communities who just gather around and treat these single A teams and these double A teams like they're the pros, because they're playing.
Well, they are the pros.
Like they're Major League Baseball, like they're the top tier. Thank you for that. You are correct. So thank you. Yeah. But again, like when you're Montgomery, Alabama, right?
Right.
They treat the Biscuits like New York treats the Yankees, because they are their Yankees, right? But Major League Baseball is really hurting those small communities, because a team like a city like Eugene can't come together to fund a new stadium to keep them. So now where do they go?
Well,
what happens?
And that's the problem. Like Salem lost its team entirely. because they couldn't come up with a better ballpark than what they had at Kaiser. So they lost their franchise. And that they were a casualty, like several other minor league cities lost their teams. And I think that's real unfortunate. I don't think Major League Baseball has ever appreciated, and the general public doesn't understand. They see attendance in Major League Baseball, or they see the TV numbers. They think, wow, baseball, there's not as many people who like it anymore. But you're not counting the minor leagues. No other sport has the minor leagues like baseball does.
Right.
And where there are literally millions of people watching baseball in small towns all across the country that can't wait to see their former players in A ball or double A ball or triple A ball get to the big leagues. And it makes them Major League Baseball fans because they turn it on to see, hey, Dansby Swanson's on TV tonight, played for the Hops a couple of years ago. That kind of thing, where your guys get to the big leagues and it turns you into Major League Baseball fans. Nobody seems to understand the benefit that minor league baseball does to keep baseball alive in the communities all across this country. And it's amazing to me how that's just forgotten or discounted by so many. But yeah, people aren't watching the Mariners on TV because they're out watching the Hops play or the Emeralds play. And it would just be a crime to see Eugene lose the Emeralds after that long history of having. I mean, that used to be a AAA town. Greg Luzinski played there. Larry Boa, Denny Doyle, all those guys that were the backbone of the great Phillies teams, they played in Eugene. It was really great.
Oh, it's like even Portland losing the Beavers. Like,
yeah,
that was a blow because that's how I spent my summers, right? Like,
yeah,
I want to go watch ball. I pay attention to the call-ups and send-downs to see if I could catch a major league guy on a rehab assignment. That's how I caught Ricky Weeks coming through town one day when he was at the peak of his MLB
Fernando
career.
Valenzuela pitched here for Spokane.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I mean, I always like to, let Ted Williams and Joe DiMaggio came through here back in the day.
Back in the
Pacific
day,
Coast
Bond
League.
Street Ballpark. Yeah.
So long history. That's why I love the AAA here too. And you're right. I mean, and I went to a game in 2019 when you had the Blazers playing OKC in the playoffs, and there happened to be an off night, and down there, Bricktown, Bricktown Chickasaw Stadium or whatever it is, where the Oklahoma City Dodgers AAA team plays. Sellout. I mean, packed house to watch these AAA baseball games. And it was good games too. And yeah, you're right. The small towns, it's a kind of an overused term, but I mean, they're the lifeblood of Major League Baseball. You got to start somewhere, right? You don't get drafted first overall and start in New York. No, you start in the middle of nowhere, Iowa or Mississippi and Alabama, and work your way through the minors, man.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's
Corbin Carroll, Rookie of the Year last year in the National League, wasn't he? I think he played for the Hillsborough Hops.
I say a very well known name if you know the Hillsborough Hops. So it's I just hate that. So take advantage of having Hillsborough out there right now. Great work that they are able to get that new stadium taken care of. And I mean, realistically, and you said this almost in jest, but like the way they build ballparks nowadays, when you see a new AAA ballpark built, even if there is no prospects, they build these stadiums with the ability to expand. So if Major League Baseball comes calling, oh, yep, we got it built. We can add a top tier. We're ready to go. And so in that same vein, like you can't do much at what is now Hillsborough Ballpark, formerly Ron Tonkin, right? It is what it is.
Yeah.
But you build this new single A park, and you build it with a skeleton so that if Major League Baseball comes calling and says, hey, you're running such a good ship over there, we want to do promotion. You're now the AA, or you're the AAA.
I think
you can do it.
AAA at some point. There's really no AA leagues out in the West at all. But AAA, oh, yeah. I think the Pacific Coast League, again, could use a team up in this area.
Absolutely, it could.
They got Tacoma, and they're kind of off by themselves. And I think to have another team up here would be great. Wouldn't surprise me at all. That ballpark will be suitable for AAA. You wait and see. And I think if they want it, if the local people want it, I think it could easily happen. It would be great.
Do you think that if you had a AAA team in a suburb like Hillsborough, that would hurt Major League Baseball chances? Or do you look at like having the Tacoma Rainiers and the Seattle right next to each
They're
other
right
and how
next
those
to
work wouldn't
yeah.
hurt each other in Portland either.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't matter. And especially you would want the AAA team to be aligned with the Major League team so that people would get a chance to see the youngsters on the way to the big leagues. Or a rehab assignment, you just go down the street and go down out to Sunset Highway and watch that guy play. I just think it would be beautiful. It would be beautiful. But again, it's probably a pipe dream, but that's what we look for.
Yeah, but I mean that's how they're running that though. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, they're run by the big leagues team, but I mean KL and company, they're not running that like, hey, we're a single A team. That's what we're always going to be, right? Running it like a bit bigger than it is. It's like the whole like don't dress for your job, dress for the job you want type thing, right?
Sure.
So when they wanted to say, hey, we want to make you full on long season, no longer a short season league, you're ready for it. You're ready to go because you have those aspirations. So
yeah, and I think population base would support AAA baseball out there too.
Yeah,
I do.
I didn't mean to go down a AAA baseball rabbit hole, but I just mentioned the Hops because we are, Hops Network here. You'll be able to hear Hops game tonight. But
yeah,
I just like baseball, Dwight. Really
yeah,
do.
I do too, and I like the Hops. I make no apologies for that, and I enjoy watching the young players come up. And I always tell people, I say this every time. I always tell people when you go to a game, keep your scorecard, file it away somewhere, put it in your desk, and forget about it for a while. But pull it out 3 years from now and look at that lineup, and you'll say, "Oh man, I didn't realize.
Right.
I saw this guy play an A-ball,
right?
And he's now in the big leagues hitting 300 for somebody.
Yeah,
it's amazing how many times that happens because I do that, and I look back and I think, wow, I didn't know that guy was going to be that good when I watched him play.
It's funny because that you say something like that because Danielle, obviously, she's a big baseball fan too, and her sister has become a baseball fan because all three of her boys are playing in it right now. They're same age as my kids. And her sister's become the de facto scorekeeper for her team, right? But they just keep score on the Game Changer app. So she just has a phone in her hand, and it was 2 strikes. I told Danielle, I go, I want to take you out to a Hillsborough Hops game sometime this summer. Stop at Dick's on the way, buy an old school scorebook, and teach you how to keep an actual old school baseball scorebook.
Right.
Like it's an art. It really is. L8 and 643 and keeping your counts. And like
people
it's
don't
art.
even know what those numbers mean anymore. By the way, I listen to the radio guy say, "Wow, that's a double play, 643," and I'm thinking, how many people out there understand what those numbers mean?
You're like, it was a ground ball to third baseman. Now it's a 643.
Yeah.
I have my baseballism shirt, Dwight.
Yeah.
It says it's the 6 plus 4
addition?
plus 3 equals 2.
I have it.
You know how many comments I've got on the math on your shirt's wrong. No, it's not. No, it's definitely wrong. I assure you, it's not. Think about it. It's a baseball pun.
Yeah.
Oh, like a double play? Exactly.
Yeah.
6, 4, 3 equals 2, baby.
Yeah.
Put them out. Baseball's the best.
Yeah, it is. I can't. One of the great days of my life was when I got my hands on one of those. The Baseball Writers Association used to do their own scorebooks. They were small, but they were thick so that you would have enough pages to do a full Major League season in them. When I got my hands on that, I was in heaven. It was just perfect because those guys knew what they were doing. I still have it at home with a bunch of old Beaver games in it when I was covering the Beavers. In fact, it was the year they won the PCL championship. And I still look back fondly at those games, some of trying to remember what the game was like.
I love it.
But, yeah, I don't keep score anymore when I watch games. I always feel I'm missing something. I don't have to score anymore, so I don't. And if I was still doing it, I'd get an electronic app on my phone because they have those now.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what little Game Changer app works well. All right. One more time. We're going to take another quick little break. When we come back, though, we might keep it in the baseball world because Major League Baseball and the Athletic are doing what they've been doing with the NBA for years, and that is your player polls, your overrated players, your hyped players. What team do you not want to play for? Some of the answers are kind of fun. We'll talk about it coming up here on the Rip City Drive. Welcome back into the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here with you, and Godfather Dwight Jaynes to my left. You can follow us on X at Chris J. Burkhardt and at Dwight Jaynes, respectively. You can also hit up the phone lines. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. And you can also go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and you can join the conversation there, where people like Mika are just saying that I'm counting down the hours until Chad takes his show back. Because I've been like, hour number 2, 1 more hour to go. I'm like, yeah, and I'm just going to go cry in the corner because I got to give the seat back. But, I do a pretty good job of keeping it warm, Dwight.
Yeah,
okay?
You do.
Yeah. Also, on our minor league baseball talk, it's you would never get a name as unique and a logo as unique as the Hillsboro Hops.
Yeah.
In Major League Baseball.
No, they did well with that. Perfect.
I still love the Montgomery Biscuits. That's why I brought that one up. Or I think my favorite of all of them might be the El Paso Chihuahuas. It's just good. They got an objectively awesome logo too, by the way.
Yeah.
But moving on, you start there in Single A and you make your way up, and eventually you get to Major League Baseball, where yesterday the Athletic unveiled their 2024 player poll. Some interesting answers, some answers that are like, yeah, saw that one coming. Like this one, of the players polled, 46% say Shohei Ohtani is the best player in baseball. Venture to guess who they voted as the second best player. Or who 26% voted as the best player, is another way of putting that.
Yeah, I could see. Well, it's probably Aaron Judge, right?
Aaron Judge actually came in fourth at 8.8%, or tied for third. Him and Mookie Betts both at 8.8.
Mookie Betts would have been my second.
Acuna was at 26% of the vote from Major League Baseball players. Mike Trout still holding on, 3.9%. But Ohtani is the consensus there. And an anonymous, these were all anonymous votes, and they were able to put in what they thought and why they voted. One of this, and this is true, but he said there's no comparison. Every player has a comp. He has no comp. Shohei, Ruth, or Babe Ohtani, no question.
Yeah,
it is. It's very unique. Now, this is the one that I find interesting. Also, this was the one that was least voted on and had no extra comments. No one wanted to out him. But the most overrated player in baseball, if you had to take a pick, like, who do you think the most overrated player in baseball is?
Ronald Acuna.
You think it's Ronald Acuna?
I do, yeah, because I've always thought he had a great year last year. That's fine. But throughout his career, he's been overrated because he's never really – he had that year last year is emblematic of what he can do, but he hasn't been close. He doesn't hustle. He doesn't play hard. He makes a lot of really dumb moves on the base paths. I don't like him. I really don't. For a superstar, and I realize how good he is. I'm just saying, I would rather have any of those other top-level guys than him. That's the way
fair.
I feel. And I watch a lot of Braves games.
I know you do. I know you watch a lot of baseball in general.
Yeah.
But the players voted number one on this one with 20.3%. Jazz Chisholm Jr. Marlins.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of him because I never thought he was highly rated by anybody. Because you have to be if you're going to be overrated, right?
Yeah.
Jazz Chisholm isn't a guy that pops into my mind.
Yeah, it is a guy that I think he's got a lot of pub and was kind of put out there to be the face of that franchise, but he's been average. I mean, he's a career 246 hitter. He just has 9 home runs this year, 31 RBIs. I mean, it's one All-Star game to his name, but he was on the cover of MLB The Show, so people don't like that. Anthony Rendon, Carlos Correa, the next two
Rendon,
on that list
for sure.
Oh, yeah. I agree there. Going solely on vibes, who would you want to play on your team?
Who would I want on my team?
Going solely on vibes.
Oh,
like you're not worrying about how good of a player they are or their money. Do you want the vibes on your team?
Yeah, I'll take a really good player with great vibes, and that's Freddie Freeman.
Freddie Freeman? No, he's not on the list. Doesn't cut it. Mookie Betts, number one.
Oh, no, I would take Freddie because he's a better player than Mookie.
Ooh, look at that.
He's not as versatile defensively, but offensively over his career he has been.
Yeah. Now, these are all, interesting answers. This is one that I like, I like the question, and the answer was shocking there. But evaluate this statement: Anthony Rendon was right. The season is too long. Yes or no?
I think most players would say that it is.
68.3% said no.
Really?
They disagree. The season is not too long.
Well, that just shows you that 68% of the players have figured out if they play fewer games, they'll make less money.
So when you go down to the quotes, when they're allowed, one of the quotes was, F that, I get paid more.
Yeah, that's what it's about. The more games you play, the more money you make.
Absolutely. So I thought that was actually a surprise answer. Nearly 70% saying no, the season is not too long. Like there are some other ones. Anonymous quote: "It's long, but I don't see a problem with it. It's not like football where they get their rear ends beat up. The length of the season is what kind of separates the big boys from the one-timers." And then a couple others with the, hey, it is long, it is taxing, but we get paid a lot to do it. Now, here's another one. Which team would you sign with as a free agent if contracts, state taxes, and current roster construction, et cetera, were not a factor? So basically, what do you think is the team that most free agents would want to play for? Who do you think that is?
The Dodgers.
Dodgers came in third with 8.1% of the vote.
Oh, was it the Yankees?
It was not. The Yankees are fifth. It was your Atlanta Braves.
Really?
12.7%, followed by the Red Sox there. A lot of love for the Atlanta Braves. The Mariners down there come in at 2.3% of the vote. And, the Dodgers, Rangers, Yankees, Red Sox, Braves were your top five. Not in that order, but that was your top five. A lot of love for the Braves, man. The Braves, they're the ship that they're running. It's a good one. They got a good org down there.
Yeah. This year, though, it's really bottoms dropped out this year. I'm telling you.
Hey, that's fine. That can happen. This is the not so shocking, but report though. On the opposite of that, what organizations have bad reputations among players? And you are allowed multiple votes. But what do you think are some of the worst reputations among players in the league?
Say that again.
What among players? What organizations have bad reputations?
Oh, boy, Oakland's got to have a bad one.
They were far and away number one with 40 votes.
I would say White Sox, too. Probably.
They are number two.
Yeah.
The White Sox are an interesting one because they have the history, right? And they're in Chicago. I never hear a lot of good about them.
Cheap owner is what really, that kind of leads to bad organization. Because they don't do the little things for the ball players that players like, which is kind of, the Braves have always been good on that side of things. It's usually teams that don't have a big fan base because they don't have as much money.
Yeah,
and the White Sox are just totally overshadowed by the Cubs.
Oh, without a doubt. And then coming in at third on that one was the Los Angeles Angels.
Yeah,
which makes sense. You're like, oh, I play in an old, outdated stadium, and I had two of the best players on the planet and couldn't put a team around them.
Yeah.
Like, why? Of course, you'd have a bad reputation. Why would you want to go play for that? So those are some interesting numbers over there and some interesting takes. But and this is one you and I talked about yesterday. And the question was, should MLB shut down mid-season so players can participate in the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles? 2028.
2028. I think it would be very difficult for them to do that. They'd have to start the season early because you can't go any later than they do already. You'll be playing into snowstorms in certain towns if you did that. So I would say probably not. I think the players would want to, though.
Yeah, it was almost a split. It was 46% said yes, 53% said no.
Yeah.
So it's a split. And the gut tells me that the players that were making good coin anyway and were good enough to make the roster are probably the ones who voted yes.
Yeah.
And the ones who need every single game and every single cut of that paycheck. And it probably is like, no, just keep me in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I think for the sake of the Olympics and the sake of the players, they should do that. It's just the practical application of figuring out a way to do it. and miss that many games would be problematic for sure. I just don't see how, because you still want to play 162 games. You would just have to start the season 2 weeks early probably, and then take your week, but end at the same time you do now. Because if you end it any later, you're going to have the World Series played in the middle of November.
No, I don't
And
like that.
It just doesn't work.
I like Mr. October, okay?
But I've always been in favor of moving the World Series and playing it in a ballpark you built somewhere in Hawaii, whether it be on Maui or Oahu or wherever, but build a ballpark and make it like the Super Bowl where it's the same date and the same site every year. It's always played in warm weather, and added bonus, you can play day games and they would be prime time in the East.
Oh, there you go.
Which would be a great bonus. And I just think it would be better. I think, because, look, home fans don't get to go to World Series games anyway. It's getting to be like the Super Bowl. It's corporate.
You're priced
You can't
out.
get a ticket anyway. You're priced out. Have it over on the islands. It's going to be a beautiful picture on every TV set where you're playing with palm trees around the outfield. It would just be great. And everybody would have an equal chance of having warm weather.
Yeah.
And day games, which is baseball's better in the daytime.
Yeah, Chad didn't agree with me because he likes the opulence and all the nice arenas and stadiums. But that's why I was like, hey, there's nothing more college football than the Rose Bowl. That should just be the de facto national championship game. Every single year the season ends.
Yeah.
Lost in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl, 100,000 fans enjoy it. But I mean, you look at what baseball does. Omaha, right? I mean, you got a destination, and it's turned that into something.
Yeah.
Which is a top-notch stadium, by the way. I know you know that. A couple other questions here that I find the answers to be very intriguing, and that was the Dodgers. They spent a ton of money this offseason. So the question was the Dodgers offseason spending good for the game? Yes, no, or I don't know.
Well, the players would say I was real good for the game.
Yes, they would. 91%
of course
said yes. And some of the quotes for those who said yes was it was good for baseball. Any team could have done it. I think it's good for baseball, but only if it results in wins. Was another one. And this is the one that I think is the most pointed of the quotes, and that was, it should be a mark for all owners, because there is no salary cap in baseball. So the amount of money your team wants to spend is the amount of money your owner wants to spend, right? And so when the Dodgers spend ungodly amounts, it's because they have an ownership group that says, you know what, I want the best players here. I want to spend it.
Yeah, and they can afford to because the team makes so much money, not just at the turnstiles, but their local TV and radio rights are through the roof. It's an incredible profit-making machine they have right there in L.A., and it works out. And they still make money. They just choose not to make as much money as they actually could. They put a lot of it back on the field with their players, and that's a very smart thing to do because it means that profit-making machine is going to continue the way it is.
Absolutely. And in that same kind of vein of that question, the last question was, are you in favor or opposed to Major League Baseball adopting the salary cap and floor system used in other Major League sports? The options were opposed, floor but no cap, or fully in favor.
They'd be fully in favor.
71.6% opposed to having.
Oh, I see.
That
I answered wrong because I thought I was saying in favor of no cap.
Okay.
They don't want a cap.
Yeah,
no.
71.6% opposed to it. Some of the quotes, I think no cap is what makes baseball unique. Another one, it could result in some teams just having to spend more money on guys who aren't worth it. That sounds like a guy like, no, give me my money. So yeah, it's interesting, and there is uniqueness in the fact that they don't do that. But again, it allows a team like the Dodgers to spend $1 billion in the offseason and, no
just not to make it to the World Series.
That's what one of the quotes I believe was it is really good for baseball, especially if it results in a first round sweep. And it's just kind of funny. But I think those are always interesting. I know the NBA has been doing that for a few years now too, to kind of get that insight into what the players are thinking, because some of those answers were a little bit surprising.
Yeah, the NFL does a really good one too, where they ask all kinds of questions about weight rooms and things like that. And, substandard and, what are the locker rooms like, all that. Baseball should have gone that far. These guys should have asked those kinds of questions too, because those are the fun ones.
Those are baseball does, or football does do that one. And I also think they didn't do it here, but I like the NBA ones with what coach would you most want to play for? What coach would you not want to play for? And it usually ends up being quite in line with the coaches and stuff that we say are the ones that are respected around the league for some reason. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He may be known as a hard ass, but people tend to vote that they want to go play for Coach Popovich. But there it is. There are your Major League Baseball player votes.
We got some feedback, by the way.
What you got?
My Rip City Mike sent us a logo. His favorite minor league team is the New Orleans Baby Cakes.
Oh, the Baby Cakes, King Cake Baby down there.
I did not know that.
They got a wild one, man. King Cake Baby. That's the one you see. He's the mascot that is not the New Orleans Pelican mascot, but he is at every single game all the time. Like King Cake Baby is like a thing.
Oh, really?
in New Orleans. Oh,
I don't think I've seen him there.
Oh, yeah. It's a very interesting mascot as well. Also on that list, the Rocket City Trash Pandas, also an awesome minor league name. So there you go.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I know. I've seen games at the it's the East Tennessee Smokies.
East Tennessee Smokies. Okay,
because
I know that one.
it's right next to the Great Smoky Mountains.
Yeah.
And then I saw what's the one I saw? Gosh, I've seen so many games in small little minor league parks.
Like some of these, the Lansing Lugnuts.
Oh yeah, that's very famous because they sell out every single game.
The Fort Myers Mighty Muscles playoff.
Yeah, and the Fort Wayne, Indiana Tin Caps.
Yeah, the Tin Caps.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why they're the Tin Caps, because that was supposedly the birthplace of the fictional Johnny Appleseed.
Okay.
Who wore a tin cap on his head. It was actually an upside down, what are those, like a funnel?
Yeah, funnel, yeah.
Upside down funnel. But, and they're, believe it or not, their G League team for years is the Fort Wayne Mad Ants.
I know that one.
And that's because of the great general in the Revolutionary War, Mad Anthony Wayne.
Okay.
They fought a battle in Fort Wayne, and
see, you're my
that's why it's Fort Wayne, and Mad Anthony became the Mad Ants.
Biloxi, Mississippi, known for their oyster industry, is the Biloxi Shuckers.
Shuckers.
That's a good one. The Sugarland Space Cowboys, Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. My favorite, the Albuquerque Isotopes.
Yeah,
just because of the Simpsons connection, and there was the whole. I love that one.
Yeah, see, and that's all those have changed. It used to be the Albuquerque Dukes, just like it was the Las Vegas Stars, and now aren't they still Las Vegas? The Area 41s, the 41s.
No, the 51s.
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 Right. Yeah.
And the Birmingham Rumble Ponies, Amarillo Sod Poodles.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And then number one on this list, Rocket City Trash Pandas. Minor league baseball names. Every sport needs them. Come on. They are the absolute best. All right. The music's playing. It's time to go to break. When we come back, it's time to hand out our high fives here on the Rip City Drive. All right, Godfather. Starting with you. I'm going to come to you too, Shacker, so be prepared. Got a high five for us?
Yeah, Chris, I'm going to give mine to the late Harry Carey for providing so many laughs over the years watching him do TV for the Cubs.
Libraries where all the attractive women are.
That's right.
It's a known fact.
Yeah.
Funny that you say that, Harry, because I go to the library in every city we stop in. That's funny, man. That's just good, playful banter.
Yeah.
It's like I said, need more announcers just having fun.
Yep.
Being buttoned up, okay, but have some fun while you're doing it too. Michael Shacker there in his super home studio. Do you got a high five for us? Yeah, very bad thing. No. I did hear that story, and they initially wouldn't say what he was shooting at.
That's right.
They said that there was a guy going around shooting at city property.
City property. They wouldn't say what it was.
Yeah. So.
Shooting at a camera might lead to your identification. Yeah, not the brightest guy in the world.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's my crime is breaking cameras that film me. Hey man, that's interesting. Good, wild. The stories that you get here in the city of Portland. As for me, I'm going to give my high five 2 days in a row because my daughter's got it yesterday. But my middle daughter, Brooklyn, she gets the high five today because today was her kindergarten graduation.
Now, do they have cap and gown for kindergarten graduations?
They did have these cute little black caps. Oh my gosh, it was really cute. So we go into the school. It was just in one of the classrooms where they could move the wall in the middle. I'm sure everyone's seen one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And all the parents were in there. The kindergartners were out in front. And my daughter, maybe it's just because, she's the daughter of a radio guy. She got to be like one of the MCs. So she got to be like the welcome everybody to kindergarten. And she had to remember it. Then they went through and they all had something to say. And then they did a little dance, sang a song for the parents, which was adorable. I'm not shy to say I think I got happy dad tears more than once. It was just a proud little moment.
Mm-hmm.
Then she got to close it out with thanks to everybody for coming. And then she got to pick lunch. She's like, it's graduation. When Peyton graduated kindergarten, she got to pick lunch, so I get to pick lunch. I want to go to Hops and Drops. So we went out and had lunch, and she had a heck of a day, man. So high five to her. It was a good one.
I'm so old that when my kids got out of kindergarten, they got a pat on the back, and that was it. There was no graduation.
I don't remember. No, I don't know. Remember any graduation either. But Peyton was a little irritated. She's like, "Well, how come I don't get a graduation?" I'm like, because it's kindergarten. They just do a kindergarten one for the school and have a little bit of fun with it. But now she's officially a first grader, so she's all hyped up. So it's a fun little time.
And you guys get a break.
A little bit.
One more in school all day, right?
Not all day, because we still do that hybrid thing. So it's
really?
Yeah, they do some days at school, some days from home, because they'll do like Zoom classes. They'll do them via Zoom. Yeah, it's a hybrid model. It's really nice. It matches well for our schedule and how they set up. And got actually really fortunate with it because when like Peyton was in kindergarten when COVID hit, and since this school was already doing a hybrid model where it was like 3 days in person, 2 days via Zoom, every other school was scrambling with no idea what to do. This school already had laptops set up, everything ready. So like, well, I guess we're just going to go to Zoom 5 days a week, make it easy. So the school year was easy, but no, it balances well for our schedules and stuff.
Now, do they do that for all grades, or is it just the young ones?
Nope, it's for all grades for the school.
Really?
So the Clackamas Web Academy.
So. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a cool little setup. My daughters love it.
I bet they do.
They get little smaller classrooms and more one-on-one time with the teacher a little bit. The teachers are all wonderful, so it's a cool little setup. So they like it. That's all that matters. Getting through school, baby. With my little kindergarten grad, little first grader. I just got one more waiting for kindergarten now. So.
How far away is she?
Oh, she's got away. She's got another 3-4 years, depending on.
Yeah, that's right. You guys just had one.
Yeah, she's a year and a half, so she's got a while. So. Yep. So, yeah. Here's a fun story for you, too. My daughter, for some reason, can never remember my middle name, Dwight. My middle name is Joseph, right? And my daughter, my wife will ask her all the time, and she'll be like, yeah, Christopher Jefferson, Christopher Jameson, right? Like and then we found out the other day because we're like, actually, Dad's middle name is Jonathan. And she's like, no, it's not, it's Joseph. So she's just been messing with us the whole time. But the other day on the radio, they turned it on at our house and they heard you talking. And my daughter's being honest. She goes, oh, that's not Dad. That's Chad doing. and Danielle goes, no, that's Dwight. And Peyton goes, Dwight doing? That's a weird name. She's like, no, Dwight Jaynes. And she goes, Jaynes? He stole Dad's middle name. No, Dad's middle name is Joseph. But it was just kind of funny. That's not Dad. That's Chad doing. So.
Well, it's not the first time somebody said, what is Dwight doing?
What is Dwight doing? Yeah, what is Chad doing? Sure, he never heard that one growing up. So what is he doing? I wonder if he's back yet listening to us, or is he on the airplane coming back today?
He is coming back today, and he was on the internet a lot today. So I have a feeling he might have been on the airplane doing that.
He was trying to call us out saying that, Caitlin Clark not being on the national team is bad for basketball. And you see basketball, U.S. Women's National Team came out and said their job is not to pick the players who are best for ratings. It's to pick the team that's best for winning.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think that's one thing. When you start talking about Olympics, take the people who deserve to be there.
Right.
Because the Olympics is special.
It is.
It's not like an all-star game. This is special. Kids grow up dreaming about that medal around their neck.
Well, did you see
Don't mess with that.
You see some of the reactions? They posted videos of like Sabrina Ionescu and Kelsey Plum.
I didn't see that.
Finding their jerseys. Like they showed up to practice and there was the guy with the jersey. And like their reactions were like, I mean, they were blown away. Like, they like, are you kidding?
Yeah,
like,
this is nothing to trifle with. This is really important stuff, I think.
And the thing is, Dwight, it isn't important to every single one of them. So it is just like anything. I mean, I knew they grew up trying to make teams, but if you give it to Caitlin just because you want to, that means you have to taken it from someone deserving.
Exactly. That's my point.
That's a knife in the heart a little bit.
It's not
right?
fair.
And like we said the other day, Caitlin Clark, she's gonna make some.
Yeah.
She's gonna be just fine.
Yeah.
She might lead the team to gold eventually. But hey, Dwight, thanks for letting me chill here the last 2 days. It's been fun.
Well,
always
I have to be honest, it wasn't my call.
It wasn't your call.